There is a man's blue chambray work shirt hanging on a wooden peg in my mudroom right now, and it has been washed maybe 40 times in 64 years, and it is going to outlive me. My father bought it at the J.C. Penney in Kokomo in the spring of 1961 for $2.25, and my mother washed it her way until the day her hands could not. And it is soft as a chamois, and whole as the hour it came off the rack, not a seam gone, not a cuff frayed, not a button missing. The shirt they will sell you at the discount store this afternoon is a $5 thing built to die inside of a year, and they are counting on you to wash her to death even faster than that. I am Pearl, granddaughter of Della of County Road 6 outside Tipton, Indiana. And this is the laundry rule my mother drilled into me at 12, and I still will not break it. My mother's name was Ruth, and the rule was 4 plain words. A thing worn once is not dirty. Now I felt some of you go tight just then, because everything you have ever been sold says the opposite. It says a thing is dirty the moment you take it off your body. It says clean is a smell that comes in a jug, and that the smell of nothing at all is the smell of filth. It is a lie, and it is the most profitable lie ever told in this country. And once you can tell the wearing from the dirt, you will watch your clothes stop dying young, your water bill stop climbing, and your closet stop emptying itself into the landfill twice a year. Ruth gave me that rule, and then she broke it into 7 things and made me say them back to her at the wringer washer in our wash house until I had them cold, the way Della had made her say them in the spring before that, and I am going to hand you all 7 exactly the way they came down to me. Stay with me to the 5th one, because the 5th is the thing your clothes dryer is quietly undoing in the next room this very minute, and keep your eye out for the 3rd, because the 3rd is the whole difference between a stain that lifts clean out and a stain you wear into the ground. The reason none of this was ever handed to you is a company in Cincinnati named Procter & Gamble, and a blue and orange box they set on the grocery shelf in 1946 and called Tide. Tide did not invent clean. Your great-grandmother had clean 100 years before there was a Tide, out of a bar of soap she cut with a kitchen knife. What Tide invented, and spent more money than you can picture teaching you, was the feeling of being dirty, the itch that sends you to the hamper after one wearing, the notion that fresh is a thing you buy back every single week, 52 boxes a year, world without end. So pour yourself a cup of something hot and hit that subscribe button while you are thinking of it, because I leave the porch light on for the people who stay. My promise to you is Ruth's promise to me at that wringer. Spend less, waste nothing, and keep the laundry room wisdom the detergent aisle would rather you forget. Before I hand you the 7, you ought to know where Ruth came by them, because she did not dream them up. She took them off her own mother's hands, the same way I am laying them now in yours. Monday was wash day on County Road 6. Every Monday God sent, rain or shine or 8 inches of snow on the ground, and it started before the light did. Della filled a copper boiler on the cook stove and shaved a bar of her own hard yellow soap into it, the lye soap she leached out of the wood ash and the bacon fat herself, and she boiled the whites and ran the rest over a washboard until her knuckles shone, and then fed it all through a wringer my grandfather had bolted to the back porch rail. The whole 9 children's worth of clothes came clean on the nickel of homemade soap, and 1 morning of her own arms, and went out on a line that ran 100 feet to the apple tree, and on a January day it froze stiff as planks, and she carried it in like cordwood to finish by the stove. A neighbour woman named Hazel Krause once asked Della how on earth she kept 9 in clean clothes through the Depression on no money at all. And Della told her, you do not keep them clean by washing. You keep them clean by knowing what dirty is. That one hard Monday a week is the whole reason the rule was never wasteful. When washing a thing costs you a morning bent over a boiling tub, you learn faster than fast not to wash a thing that is only tired. The machine is what made us foolish. The minute the washing got easy, the washing got mindless. And that easy little scoop is exactly how they talk you into doing it 40 times a year, when 6 would have done. The first thing Ruth made me say back to her was that you look at a thing in the light and you give it the honest smell before you ever let it fall in the basket. I learned it the hard way on a Wednesday afternoon in the fall of 1962, when I peeled off the one good blouse I owned, a butter yellow one with a Peter Pan collar that she had sewn me off a simplicity pattern after wearing it 4 hours to the 7th grade and back, and I dropped it in the wash basket the way the women did on the television. She fished it right back out, carried it to the window, turned the collar up under her nose and put it back in my hands. "Worn is not dirty," she said. "Satin is not dirty. Sweated through and spilled on and ground into the knees, that is dirty. And your own 2 eyes and your own nose will tell you which is which, and a washing machine never will, because a washing machine does not love you, and a washing machine does not pay its own way. A thing you wash for no reason is a thing you are wearing out in a tub of water instead of out in the world, where it could have done you some good. Half the wash spinning in this country tonight is clean clothes being scrubbed thin for the crime of having once been worn. The second thing was to air a garment before you ever think to wash it. Della never had a machine in her life. She had a copper boiler and a washboard and a cake of lye soap she made herself out of the wood ash and the bacon fat, and washing was a whole hard day bent over a tub, so she did not do it to a thing that did not need it. What she did instead was hang it in the breeze. A wool skirt that carried the smell of the church furnace, a Sunday dress that came home smelling of the fry kitchen at the parish hall, did not go anywhere near the boiler. It went on the line overnight, or on a nail by a cracked window, and the moving night air carried the smell off, for nothing at all by morning. She would hang a man's good suit out in a light rain, and then a dry wind, and it came back to her better than a hot iron could press it, and she tucked a sprig of dried lavender and a curl of cedar shaving in with the woolens in the chest, so the moths kept their distance, and the wool came out in October smelling of the garden instead of a jug. The fabric softener people will sell you that exact smell in a blue jug today, a smell they call spring, and your grandmother pulled it out of the actual spring through an open window for free. Air is the cheapest laundress you will ever hire, and she never once shrank a thing, or faded it, or wore it thin. The third thing is the one I promised you, and it is this. When a garment truly is dirty, you wash the dirt, and you do not wash the dress. Think about a man's work shirt for a minute. He does not get the whole shirt dirty. He gets a grey ring at the collar and a darkness at the cuffs, and now and again a spot of his dinner down the front. And the 2 good yards of cotton in between are as clean as the moment he buttoned it that morning. Ruth would lay that shirt on the drain board, wet just the collar and the cuffs, and the one spot with cold water, rub a cake of Fell's naphtha soap straight onto them, a dime it cost at the Red and White on Main Street, work it with her thumbs and rinse it, and that shirt was clean without ever seeing the inside of the tub. And the cold water is the heart of it, because hot water does not lift a stain, hot water cooks it. Hot water takes the blood and the egg and the sweat and the grass and sets it into the weave like a dye forever. And then you have what people call a stain that will not come out, which is really just a stain that somebody boiled in. I have a white tablecloth my mother embroidered with strawberries that I spilled a whole cup of grape juice on at Easter dinner in 1971, and because I hit it that minute with cold water and a bar of Fell's naphtha instead of the hot, there is not a shadow of it on that cloth today. Cold water and a nickel of soap on the one dirty inch will save a thing that hot water and a whole box of Tide would have ruined. The fourth thing follows the third, the way the shadow follows the man. Cold water always, hot water never, and do not let a thing soak past its good sense either. Hot water is what shrinks your wool to a doll's coat and fades your good navy to the colour of a rain puddle and wears the cotton thin a year before its time. And it is the most expensive thing in the whole laundry, because heating that water is near 9 of every 10 cents the job costs you. The coal does the same cleaning and asks nothing of the dye, and nothing of the fibre, and almost nothing of the electric meter. And here is the part that ought to make you laugh, or make you spit. Procter & Gamble prints the words, cold water, right on the front of the box now, in proud letters, like they marched into the wilderness and discovered it, like it is the newest thing under the sun. My mother knew it standing at a wringer washer in 1962, and Della knew it, bent over a washboard, before there was a wire run to that farm at all. They will always sell you tomorrow what your grandmother did yesterday for free. The fifth thing is the one I told you to wait for, the one your clothes dryer is undoing in the next room while you sit here. Go and open that little trap in your dryer after the next load and look hard at the grey felt mat you peel out of it. That is not dust. That is not lint that blew in off the road. That is your clothes. That is your towels and your sheets and that very work shirt ground off thread by thread in a hot drum, tumbling and slamming against themselves at a heat no July ever made, and going up the vent and out into the yard as money. Your clothes do not wear out on your back, they wear out in that machine. Della hung every stitch she ever washed on a line strung off the back porch, summer and the dead of winter both, where it froze board stiff and came in smelling of the cold, and finished drying soft on a rack by the cook stove. Ruth did the same her whole life, and the sun did a thing no dryer can do. It bleached her whites white, and her sheets sweet for nothing. No bottle, no sheet you throw in and throw away. A dryer costs you $0.25 in current every load, and it costs your clothes a year of their lives every load. And the appliance company that sold you the machine sold you the thing that eats the other things you own. I ran the dryer for about 12 years myself when I was young and proud and in a hurry, and I have kept one thin grey towel from those years in a drawer to remind me exactly what the hurry was costing me. The lint in that trap is not dirt. It is your dollars going out the wall. The sixth thing Ruth taught me was a needle, and she taught it before the tear ever happened, not after. She kept one needle always threaded and stuck in the parlour curtain by the Philco radio, and a button never went 2 days loose in our house, and a small split down a seam never got the chance to grow into a wide one, because the night it started was the night she sat and closed it. A stitch in time saves 9 is the oldest tired thing anybody ever cross-stitched on a sampler, and it is tired because it is true, and the people who never learned it are the ones throwing out a good $2 shirt over a 5-cent button. She kept her spare buttons in a coffee can the same as her mother did, sorted by a child's hands on a winter night, and the night a button came off my coat, it was back on before the news was over. A tear is a dime. The hole you let it grow into is the whole garment. Mend it the night you make it, and you will bury that shirt instead of the shirt burying your money. The seventh thing was to turn a thing from the sun and to let it rest. You dry your colours inside out, so the sun that bleaches your whites so kindly does not march your good reds and blues out to grey. You hang your whites and your linens face into the sun on purpose, because the sun is a bleach that no company has yet found a way to put a metre on, and a dime of Mrs. Stewart's bluing in the rinse water made Ruth's sheets so white the neighbours thought she had bought new. A nickel box of Argo starch boiled up in the last rinse gave my father's collars and her own Sunday dress a crispness the dry cleaner downtown charged $1 a shirt to match. And it did one quiet thing more that the cleaner never told a soul. It laid a hard shield over the cloth, so the day's dirt sat down on the starch instead of grinding into the fibre, and the whole of it rinsed out together come the next wash, with the shirt underneath still new. And you let a garment rest between wearings. You rotate the 3 good blouses, so no single one of them carries the whole week, because a thing worn and washed alone into the ground, while its sisters hang idle in the closet, is just bad management. Spread the wearing thin across what you own, and every piece of it lasts 3 times as long. Rest is not idleness. Rest is how a small wardrobe feeds a long life. And there is the whole of it, the thing that lives underneath all 7, the 4 words Ruth started me with at that ringer when I was 12 years old. A thing worn once is not dirty. Every one of those 7 is just that one truth, wearing a different apron. The whole modern business of laundry, the heaped scoop and the blue jug and the hot wash and the hot dry and the closet you empty into a donation bin twice a year and fill again from the discount rack, is built on teaching you to feel that fresh runs out the second you put a thing on, and to buy it back forever by the box and by the bagful. The average person in this country now throws away the bitter part of £100 of clothing every year, most of it not worn out at all, just washed out and tired of. And somewhere a company counts that £100 as £100 of next year's sales. I am an old woman on a fixed income, and I have never in my life bought a bottle of fabric softener, and I have never once needed to. Ruth fed and clothed a houseful on what your laundry room wastes, not by owning more than her neighbours, but by wearing what she had all the way out and washing it like she loved it. So before you carry that hamper down tonight, stop and pick the things back up, one at a time, and give each one the honest look and the honest smell my mother gave my yellow blouse in 1962. I will bet you the porch light that half of what is in there is clean and only tired, and only in that basket because a company in Cincinnati taught you to put it there. Go look at the chambray shirt I told you about if you want to see what the rule buys. It is still on its peg, soft and whole, 64 years on, because a woman named Ruth washed the dirt, and never the dress, and dried it on a line in the sun, and mended it the night it tore, and never once paid the store to take her clothes away and sell them back to her by the package. This is Granny Pearl, and I will leave the porch light on for you.